Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Game Club. I'm your host, Boston. We're talking about Astroneer this month. It's the third Saturday of the month. Let's just do it all backwards. I'm your host, Boston, playing this on the Series X, joined as always by Moonpeer.
Howdy, same. Series X for me.
And Musum.
Tempted on the Xbox One, moved to PC.
All right. Let's talk about the game here real quick, but get our intro stuff done here. Game was released from Early Access February 6th, 2019 on PC and Xbox One, November 15th, 2019 on PS4. Developed and published by System Era Softworks. Released PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch sometime next year. Time travel, Metacritic 71, OpenCritic 75. Peers here for the release date of February 2019. This is a huge list of absolute bangers. Let's go down this giant list. Wargroove. We're talking about Wargroove last month for Tiny Metal. Apex Legends. Ta-da. God Eater 3. The game I always get this confused with, Space Engineers, also came out.
Oh,
yeah.
I could mention that during the main show.
Yeah. Tetris 99, Crackdown 3, Far Cry New Dawn, Metro Exodus, a tiny little game called Anthem. Stellaris Console Edition, and Trials Rising. That was all just February of 2019.
So are we going to all agree bottom of the pile?
Yeah, I think sort of just kind of not indicative of its quality, just indicative of I'm playing about 4 of those things alone in this 1 month and not this survival building thing.
So it's also worth mentioning that this was early access too, and I think that it was spent like a year and change in early access.
It came out. It started early access in 2016, so it was in 3 years in early access.
And thankfully, we watch a lot of us, both us on the show and us as a community. We all are participants of the Duda community, which means we had access to this game through the fact that the Dudas know some people who worked on it, and they're always about showing the strange indie games that are kind of a little bit out there.
Right.
And this was definitely one of them. So I was definitely aware of it. In fact, I bought it on early access when it came to the Xbox. And then waited and waited and waited. I did the same thing for Elite Dangerous. And both of those times it worked out pretty well for me.
Right. All right. Well, Moon, why don't you start here for our game chat? Because I think you have probably the most experience out of all of us.
No,
not just dozens upon dozens of hours.
I only need one more achievement in the game.
Oh, jeez.
And that's the DLC achievement. So technically, I've fulfilled my obligation to this game now.
There you go.
So, I will start with this. You guys are so lucky. Like, as someone who played this from literally right when it was leaving early access to yesterday, essentially, the state of this game has improved like 50-fold over what it was when I first started playing it.
Oh, wow.
Because when I started playing this, I played co-op with community member Rob, and you're talking about lag frame hitches. You're talking about the deforming of terrain suddenly being reborn as lag hits, kind of thing.
Multi-minute load times.
Yes, and multi-minute leaving the planet times as well, which is a little bit ridiculous. And so playing it on the Series X with Rob again. So not much has changed.
Right.
But it's so quick. It's so smooth. Like, they have ironed out so many things in this game. when I first started playing this game, there wasn't a mission structure. You landed on a planet and you figured out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just having that mission structure at that landing pad is a game changer because it points you in directions that you are interested or that you should be going to help increase the size of your settlement. Like it's a
Yeah, if the game, it's one of the biggest notes here I have in my notes. If the game didn't have that like tutorial mission structure, I probably wouldn't have played past like half an hour. Because that's the stuff that drives me crazy about these kind of like building, crafting, survival sort of games is when they just plop you in the ground and it's like, oh, you don't have the wiki open? Look at this idiot. It's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna play your game then. But I'm very glad the tutorial in the game was actually really solid, and very fast, thankfully. And then when it plopped you down with like a sort of partially built settlement already and had that mission structure, I was like, okay, yeah, this is all right. I can enjoy this. Like I've got some things to go do.
Gosh, I can't imagine like without those.
It was so hard.
Those initial missions. Like, I mean, granted, there are a lot of like in a way. I feel like a lot of this game is mostly sensical, but in terms of like figuring out what to research first and build, like I've already, I'm far enough in that like the last few things I built I couldn't use without building and researching 2 other things. And I didn't realize it before I built it, but it took me a while to get there.
Yeah, I largely played this without looking at a wiki or anything, unless they'd say like, oh, you need aluminum, and I'm like, all right, I don't know what that comes from. I'm not gonna worry about digging up a bunch of stuff and slotting it in the smelter just to make the wrong thing. I'm just gonna look up, oh, I've seen that before. That's in these caves over here. Okay, cool. Like trying to do that.
Yeah, that mission structure is insane. Not to mention, did you guys get to the point where you got the mini energy providers?
I think they gave me one for doing a mission.
Yep. So that's the only way you can get those.
Like, are you talking? I guess not, because you're not talking about batteries or generators or anything, right?
Nope. Okay. So before the current updates, which fun fact, there was so much more to this game than when I last played it. Like there's automation now. There is.
Oh, don't even get me started on the automation. When they gave me
we can get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, when they gave me that like automation arm, I was just like, oh no.
So way late in the research field, there's these little big, huge, like basically like nuclear fusion generators that you can dump on your base, and they produce energy without cost. So no solar, no wind, no problem. You plop it down, it just produces energy. They are very, very hard to make. I think they're called RTGs, but they're really late end game stuff. Like you need materials from basically all of the planets to make it, kind of thing. And part of the mission rewards now you get a mini one that slots onto your suit, which can give you infinite energy.
Yep.
You get yourself an oxygen generator. You slot that onto the back of your suit, and then you no longer ever have to worry about tethers ever again.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't put 2 and 2 together on that one. All right.
So there's a pro tip which Rob pointed out to me. He was like, dude, just go do some of these missions, get the RTG, put it on your back, get yourself an oxygen generator, and Bob's your uncle. You don't need to worry about suffocating to death anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great. Don't get me wrong, my home planet is like spiderweb with tethers because I played the game that long ago, kind of thing.
Right.
But it's this like the quality of life improvements are insane. Like the mission structures, the fact that you get rewards, the fact that there is now an extra super large scrapper to deal with the stuff that you couldn't delete before. Like,
oh sure,
there is so much additional stuff in there, and some of the costs have changed too. Like some of the things, like the giant rover is more expensive to make now because you need some of those little chips, which I never had to have any of the chips before. I just used the raw materials to produce the big rovers. But at the same time, it's like that tech tree has gotten so much bigger since I last played. Like, and it started telling me about the automation stuff, and it's like, no, I ain't doing that. I am not going down that rabbit hole because
Well-
I don't want to spend 60,000 hours removing my base
Right.
to completely rebuild it automated.
I think my one big gripe with this game from the time I put in it is I really wish that tech tree was displayed differently, because it feels like it has outgrown that display. Like, I really wanted to pop open a different window that has like either a tree or like a grid-based system or something, because like I'm looking for the specific thing. I don't know which size it is. I don't know which one of like the rows it's on. Each row has like 8 to 10 things in it, so it's a lot of like, all right, I'm going through each row one by one to see if I can figure out how to build like this specific thing, and like that feels like it's in need of an overhaul.
That
You want
interface is also not great with mouse and keyboard, by the way, because the first
Oh,
time
boy.
I was in it, I was just trying to mouse click on things, which every time you click on something, there's no animation. It just shifts the whole grid to the thing you clicked on. And it is
Okay.
very disorienting.
Right.
And
Okay.
once I learned to use the arrow keys, I could navigate it better. And then once I figured out, oh, these icons are for the different size of printers, yada, yada, yada. But
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
That thing could use a refresh.
So
I do like in almost all of those screens, though, when you want to like research something or build something or track a mission or something, like that you have to, on Xbox, you have to tap A to flip open the cover on the button,
the little
and then
eject switch.
and then hit it again to hit the button. Like I that's a little thing that I really like.
Mhm. So you would prefer it to look like a Ubisoft pre-order screen, is what you're saying?
No, I think more what I would like it to look is like, I wish that there was an actual, like, almost like an RPG skill tree. Like there was kind of, you can build this, and then these are, come off of that, and these are prerequisites to this thing. Like, and there are multiple tabs for the 4 different sizes. Like, I feel like there could be a different look to it that might make it a little bit more readable. But they keep patching the hell out of this game, so it's probably just a matter of time.
Yeah. Controls are still a bit iffy. Like, I'm going to throw my one negative out here. It's the controls are very questionable.
On controller, they are... It took me a long time to figure out what they were doing with the left trigger, right trigger stuff, and it took me a while to figure out, oh, they're just emulating a mouse. Like, clicking and dragging with the mouse with the left trigger doesn't feel great. Like, I eventually mapped my brain to do it, but it's one of those things that's like just never really feels right.
It worked really well on mouse and keyboard.
That's what I've heard.
It's it probably took me 10 or okay, maybe I should start with my story on why I switched off Xbox One. Because I originally
Because you're playing
installed
on the
it.
original.
Well, and you said it was a good, play before bed game. So I thought, oh, this will be great. And unfortunately, my TV is like 10 feet away, maybe further from where my bed is. So I could not read what any of the button prompts were.
Yep.
Right.
And then on top of that, I don't know if this is the game or if my Xbox One is dying, but about every couple minutes, it would just freeze frame and I'd be stuck there for 10, 15 seconons.
Oh, wow.
And it was really, really frustrating. So it was very nice to move back on the PC. I say move on to PC and then max out all the draw distance settings and things like that.
Yeah.
Show off.
Yeah.
I forgot why I started talking about that. Well, yeah, we were talking about the controls. Yeah, I did have it glitch on me twice, one of which created quite the adventure in that my guy started walking when I wasn't pressing anything. So that was an issue, but it only happened twice. And one of them did create a 2-hour detour. It was, I had just gotten the rover, right? And I thought, this thing has oxygen in it. I have 2 batteries. I have a generator. I'm just going to grab some organics. I'm just going to tour the planet for a bit. And I drove a long way away from my camp, past any of my tethers, like way past, and then fell in a hole. And then It was honestly like it. I was really worried I was going to get frustrated and fall off the game then, but I had a lot of fun like trying to figure out how to get myself up, and then I ran out of battery power, and I thought, okay, I'm going to set up this generator here, and I got the battery, and I got this plugged in, and why is my guy walking this way? Oh no, I just fell down a hole. All the power in my suit's gone, so my flashlight is out now.
Oh no.
And then I died, and then like the next hour was getting back to that corpse and then figuring out
stuff
where the rover was, because up until that point, I had completely forgotten there was a radar that would tell me where those things are.
Oh, right.
So I'll cover that in a second.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah.
It was, I eventually found the rover, and then it was a matter of like it's being underground in that game. I think is like a really cool feature. Not a great place for a vehicle though.
Yeah, I underground. I liked this game until like I read the wiki and it's like, oh, you can find this underground. I was like, all right, I'll dig for a little bit, see if I and like I open up this giant cave system and I was like, all right, this is super cool. Like this is not at all what I was expecting under here.
Yeah, like in when I first started digging down into it, I wasn't thinking much of it. I was like, oh, how can I get down there? But like digging up, I'm like, oh, I just need to find a wall that's solid enough that I can kind of build a spiral tunnel up.
Right.
And that was, unfortunately, by the time I got to surface, of course, I went straight into the mountains. But I got back. I got my rover back.
That's the best, though, because you come out and you're 5,000 feet higher than you expect to be, and you're like, wait, how did I get this high?
Right.
Oh, man. I really like this game a lot, honestly.
So, real quick note about that compass. Real quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's new.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I would have never found my rover without it. Like, it told me I was above or below it.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to know how many rovers and vehicles and holes I have on my home planet because I couldn't find my way back home again?
Oh, yeah. No.
So, the game has the beacons. I don't know if you guys made any beacons or used any beacons.
Yeah.
I did start using them because I kept losing track of where all the big research boulders were.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to use them to place on mountains near my home base so I could find my way back home when I went exploring the planet.
You made like a breadcrumb trail.
Literally, I would go to the nearest mountain, get to the very top, and drop the beacon at the top so the little point of interest was higher in the air and I could see it further away. And it wasn't blocked by mountains. Because that compass didn't exist. And this is where the spoiler section of our game club conversation comes in, generally speaking. So did you guys mess with any of the artifacts, the big purple structures?
No, they give you a mission really early on where it's like, hey, like, what's that shaft of light over there? And I was like, I'll worry about that later. I found one, and then as soon as I found it, they're like, boy, sure looks like you could power that thing. Weird. Anyway, and I saw another one on the second planet, so I was sort of figuring they are linked in some way.
So I found two of them, and I activated one, and it appeared to be a teleporter, and I couldn't teleport anywhere because I'm assuming I had to activate the other two on the planet.
Gotcha.
Ding, ding. Slide point. There is 6 on each planet.
Oh, wow.
There's 2 on the moons. So De Solo, I think it is, which is the moon right next to your home planet. There's 2 or 4 on those. I can't remember. So, long-term goals for Astroneer here, depending on how much you like playing the game and if you want to put 100 hours into it. On every planet, there's all these beacons. You go to them, you power them, they turn into teleportation points, like Musen mentioned. At the core of every single planet is another one.
Oh, wow.
So you have to go to the core of every planet with a specific material type, which is labeled on the core unit. Like, spoiler alert, go use a wiki and grab the element before you go down there. Take 2.
Right.
And that gives you a strange emblem. In space, there is a big purple platform. When you activate the core with the element of choice, You get one of those emblems, you stick it in the core, and then you can teleport from that central core unit to any of the points on the outside of the planet, or to the purple place in space, to the platform in space.
Okay.
If you do that for every single planet, you then have a teleportation system that allows you to go to space, to the core, to the surface, to the core, to space, to the next planet, and so on and so forth. So it's a quick, fuel-efficient way of moving around the solar system without flying.
Interesting.
However, the purple structures take different amounts of power depending on the planet you're on.
Sure.
The more dangerous the planet, the more power it takes.
Mm.
So I may or may not have made a large rover, which I don't know if you've seen the size of the large rovers.
No.
They're about the same size as the big shuttles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they're huge.
Yeah.
So I made one of those, put it in a box, and then not the starter shuttle, because I'm guessing you guys both unlocked the starter shuttle, which is like the normal space shuttle thing.
That's what I
thing.
used to get to the next planet, or the moon, or whatever it is.
Yeah, so not that one, but the next shuttle has storage.
Okay, that was going to be my question for future plans for the game.
Yes. So you can take boxes, load them into the back of this truck. You can take materials and load them into the back of the truck. Apparently, there's a bunch of containers now where you can just put, like, it's just like a small box and you put the items in it. And it
Yeah, I
holds,
got
like,
one
60
pretty
or
early
something.
on. Yeah.
That didn't exist for me.
Oh, wow.
What existed for me? Go ahead, Musim.
I should say I got some packagers from something. I think I found them. But
Yeah,
I could not for the life of me figure out how they worked. And I assume that is what they did.
Yeah, so you take them, you stick them on something that you want to put back into a box, and then you hold Y to activate it, like highlight it and hold Y, and then this box just spawns, puts it back in the box, and then you can move it to wherever you need to move it.
Okay.
So before those containers existed, a whole bunch of stuff. I had the big circle ones, which I don't know if you've seen the big circle storage containers on. So the back of this space shuttle had my giant truck, then like a whole bunch of big storage units with a whole bunch of like tall storage units attached to it. So it looked like a hedgehog, basically.
Right.
And all of the equipment I would need attached to those storage units. So then whenever I went into space, I was fully prepared for whatever may come my way.
Wow.
And then you can attach the drills to the front of the vehicles. So like you get the drill bits, you can put them on the front, and then your bumpers activate the drills. So you can. I would take this big rover. I would just start a base on the next planet, aim 45 degrees down, and then just hit right bumper and drive through the ground. Because I'm that kind of weirdo, I also had the mod on it that expands the size of it. So I'm basically creating the Fast and the Furious tunnel chase scene, like in front of me as I'm going down this planet, which works spectacularly.
Yeah.
Right until you come into a natural cave formation and you're just falling into towards the core of the planet. It's ridiculous.
Man.
But I didn't have a compass.
Right.
Here is a pro tip for if you ever forget you have a compass. The band of stars in the sky, if you look in the sky in the game, there is stars in like a band going straight, like they are very dense in a line and very like separated out to the sides, like very not dense, then not dense. That line is your east-west line.
Okay.
So that's the galactic band, I believe, is what it's called.
Gotcha.
And that is east-west, and then north and south is obviously put the band as a cross, and then go in the opposite direction.
Right.
I had to do that with all of those purple structures on every single planet without a compass, and lost so many vehicles, dudes.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
you know
that's
what?
okay.
It was worth it because I love this game.
Yeah, that's good to know because I felt like I hit a real brick wall. I felt like I had really made, like I felt really proud when the game gave me the mission to go like get off the planet. Like, here, you're gonna build a spaceship. You're gonna go get off the planet. You know, we want you to go land on just another planet, and build like one of the small habitation things up there. So I land on just the next one, which is I think the moon. And I land there and I plop down the habitation thing, and I realized I have to like start my whole base over again. And I was just like, oh, that's not gonna work for me. But I'm glad to hear that the larger spaceship will allow you to bring kind of a considerable amount of things up there to kind of get that planet going.
In all honesty, whenever I would go to a new planet, I would take a landing pad because
Yep.
then when you're in orbit around the planets, you have that landing pad with the home base symbol, so you know exactly where you're landing.
Oh,
You're
okay.
also not going to land in a mountainside, which is
Right.
good. And you know then where your base is. So I would have that, and then just maybe one or two things which I know I would need. But by that time, I was using RTGs, so I was like, well, I didn't need a generator, I didn't need power, I didn't need any of this other stuff. All I needed was my RTGs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sort of immediately felt frustrating because I was like, well, down there I have like all my printers and I have everything all set up. Like, I got wind and solar power. Like, I've got this cool base going on, and like I'm on this moon that's just desolate, and it's like, oh, this is kind of a lot of whiplash here. But it sounds like there's an easy way around that, though.
Yeah, I think if you just research the large shuttle, you'll see exactly what I mean. You'll just see the back opens up, and that's how you also get co-op partners to go to different planets with you. Is the shuttles are all one-seaters, so you put a buggy seat in the back of one of those storage containers, and then when you take off, it just closes with them inside of the container.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I think I spent probably about like 20 or so hours on this month, and I had a lot of fun because like I I historically don't like survival crafting games very much because oftentimes you run into the thing we were complaining about at the beginning where it just like dumps you on a planet or dumps you in a generated world, and it's like, all right, man, sort it out, figure it out, like whatever.
They'll put two sticks together and hope it works.
Yeah, and like, oh, you don't know how to craft an axe? Come on. Just like, I don't know anything, man. Astroneer did a really great job by having those missions and having you. I like that you can complete one and it'll give you like 4 or 5, so you can start going down one specific path where it's like, all right, I want to get off of this planet, or I want to start building automation, or I want to start exploring what all these artifacts are, or I want to go into the planet itself. Like, you have a bunch of different options, and I really liked this. I'm not sure how much time I'll spend with it after this, but it's definitely still installed on my Xbox, and thankfully it fires up fast enough that I could be like, yeah, all right, I'll keep building. Maybe we'll build a little bit of automation because that's always been a soft spot for me. For it's just, they give you that automation arm and it's like, yeah, just like use it to pick up things over here and put it over there. I'm just like, oh no. This is gonna be bad. You're just This is trouble.
I historically don't like these types of games either. Like, I put off starting and I'm like, man, I don't want to crap on some game that everyone else likes, especially Moon. And like,
hey, I admit, I'm a freak. I love these things. You give me a broken down piece of meat who's just crawling through the forest, who's got to rub two sticks together. I am in.
Yeah.
I am 1,000% in.
Right.
And I love that this is so different to those.
Yeah. I think what helped me on this one is I wasn't managing like hunger levels. Drive me crazy in a game. Yep. I hate hunger levels. I don't. Who cares?
No hunger, no thirst, no sleep.
And yet, weirdly enough, you like the vampire games, the Vampire the Masquerade game.
Oh yeah. I guess. Well, I guess we're all a little hypocritical. Says hopefully. Yeah. No. It's this game was very like there was no. Like, the failure state was almost not even a failure state. Like, I mean, sure, you die and you have to go find your corpse again, like Dark Souls, but it wasn't, for the most part, like, it's a easy, just wander around and build things and discover things, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it, which
Yeah.
I guess makes sense. Like I like the crafting stuff in Skyrim, but that is also super basic and is like just wander around and grab their materials and then stand at the smithy and select stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like basic but complex nature of this game. I think is probably what won me over.
Yeah, I forgot to mention it, but I also do like the exploration nature. Like tethers are really easy to make, and the range are really far, so it really does encourage you just to be like, hey, look, you don't have a tether line going over here. Let's go check it out. Whatever. No big deal. Like, just build some tethers. If something cool's over there, great. Bring the buggy over. Take a large purple boulder back and shove it in the science machine and keep on going.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that a
love
lot.
the art style as well. Like, it's not hyper realistic. It's super cute, super crisp kind of art style.
In my research on this game, the art designer, like the art lead, said they wanted to make a game that definitely didn't look like Minecraft, and I think that it works really well for this game. Like the low poly, kind of low texture nature of it, I think works really well, and it definitely doesn't look like, you know, every other survival game you might have played where it's either like hyper realistic or it's voxels.
Yeah. I really liked how you could see certain materials from a very long distance.
Yes. Yep.
Just, hey, there are mountains way over there in the distance, and I'm pretty sure that's resin or something glinting off the sides. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Boston, did you ever find clay?
What's up?
Did you ever find that clay?
So, you know, I was mentioning about like, hey, there's not a tether line over there. Maybe like 50 feet from my base in a direction I've never gone, clay was sitting right there. I mean, thankfully, with the centrifuge, it's really easy to just take a bunch of dirt and make it into clay. So, like, I'm
pretty sure that one of the mountains by my home base on my save is entirely hollow. Because I've just dug that thing out for dirt for the centrifuge. Because it's like, it looks beautiful, and I don't want all these like little giblets of pixels just floating in the air all over the place. So I'm just gonna build a tunnel and then dig out from inside.
Just start carving.
I'm like a dwarf. Like,
right. You got your ice cream scoop.
The shell.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts here for Astroneer?
Yes, actually, the music.
Very good.
Minimalist, but I do like how minimalist it is. It's very appropriate for the game itself.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
I
am ashamed in that I just turned on Spotify and then played it.
I mean, that's what a lot of these games are, because you're going to be in there for quite a while. Like, might as well catch up on some podcasts.
Yeah.
It's honestly, these days, that's what I do. But yeah, like, I adore like how chilled out that music is, because music is very ambient, very like just super chill, like not particularly any type of genre, but it's like this nice little background music that just underlays everything, so you don't, you know, when there's an enemy nearby or one of those stupid toxic plants.
But I think that's what I like about this game overall, is that it is very chill, especially in that first planet. It's like, if you're connected to oxygen, there's nothing really going on. You can pause the game, walk away, you know, do whatever you need to do. Like, it's a good game. Astroneer's good. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, to be honest, even like there's the quote-unquote hardest planet is like a toxic wasteland or something like that it's referred to as. It's like the furthest planet away, and it's like, it's a super irradiated, so that's where you get your high energy like stuff for the artists and things like that. And even that, like, after playing No Man's Sky, it's like, please. It's like, the only difference is there's less wind, more solar power, and that's about it. Like, all of the planets are chill. Like, they just have slightly different changes to them for what power you can get. And the terrain type. Generally speaking, there is nothing that's going to kick you in the teeth at all the whole time. Like,
Right.
this isn't No Man's Sky where you spawn and you're dying.
20 seconds, go, go, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I landed on an irradiated planet. I'm screwed. It's like,
Yeah.
no. The plants are greener and they glow neon occasionally. That's all you really need to worry about.
Right. Right.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
I could
that's...
see my.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead. You can go.
I was just say I could see myself continue. Like, I feel like this game's going to stay installed, and my game time isn't what it was. But I could see myself going back to this in certain moments because it's really a nice put on YouTube or Spotify or
Right.
anything, and I'm
You got a
just gonna
rainy
go and
afternoon. Yeah.
explore this very pretty looking world.
Yeah.
So, if you have Game Pass, I feel like it's a no-brainer.
Yep.
Oh, 100%. Like, this thing, like I said, I bought this one on early access when it first came out, and I haven't regretted it since. Like,
Yeah.
it's so early that it came to Xbox that it doesn't have the timers for how long you've played it in the apps.
Oh, wow.
That's how much of like an early access kind of thing it was.
Right.
And also, if you are interested in this game and you're not too sure how us talking about it is making you feel, go watch the No Clip documentary on it and prepare to get your heart broken, by the way. Because they talk about some very real stuff in that. And this is like when this game was put into early access, I think it was 5 people who made this game.
Yep.
So
Wow.
go watch that documentary if you're interested in it, because it's a hell of a game for the limited number of people who worked on it, and amazing it came out considering some of the circumstances surrounding its development.
Yeah, it had a real tough development. Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, that's Astroneer. And let's talk about our next game. We're going to play the also on Game Pass recently released Boyfriend Dungeon. Came out on PC, Xbox One, and Switch at the time of recording. That is on Game Pass, I believe, on both PC and Xbox. So you can scoop that up there. If not, I think it's like $20, $25, something like that. So for next month, we're going to play Boyfriend Dungeon. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.